Okay, so you want to own a diamond mine. You dig rocks out of the ground, pull out the stones, and sell them for the price of a small car each. It sounds like the closest thing to printing money that anyone has ever found in the dirt. It is not. By the end of this video, you'll know why a diamond mine makes its money on the cost of moving rock and not on the sparkle. Why most of the cash never reaches the person who owns the hole, and why the one thing the whole business rests on is coming apart. We're Tortured Tycoon, and we take apart the businesses you'll never own but secretly want to understand. The diamond mine might be the most seductive one of them all.
Diamonds are the ultimate symbol of love, luxury, and status.
So is that millennials believe in the diamond dream.
Diamonds are forever. Sadly, that's a myth.
The reason a mine feels like a fortune is that someone spent a century teaching you it should. De Beers built the entire idea that a diamond is rare, permanent, and the only honest way to prove you love someone. As recently as 2017, it was still pouring around $140 million a year into ads to keep that belief alive. So you walk in, checkbook out, already picturing yourself as the next diamond baron, thinking you bought a money machine. What you actually bought is a depleting industrial asset that other people have already laid claim to. Stay with me, because the gap between those two things is where the real story lives. Start with the bill to even open the doors. Long before mine exists, you pay for exploration, and almost all of it is money you never get back. You survey huge regions, you drill for the right kind of rock, and you test it. The brutal truth is that most diamond-bearing pipes you find aren't rich enough to even be worth mining. Only a small slice of discoveries turn into real mines. So the true cost of finding one good deposit really includes the price of every dead end that came before it. That's why most exploration gets done by small companies who gamble for years and pray they can sell one lucky find to someone bigger. Say you clear that hurdle and you actually find rock worth digging. Now you have to build the mine, and the numbers here stop being small very fast. Take Lucara's Karowe project in Botswana, a real well-regarded deposit, and watch what happened to the price of just digging it deeper. In 2019, the plan was costed at about $514 million. By 2021, it was $534 million. By 2023, it was $683 million. By 2026, the estimate had climbed to $779 million, with first production pushed back to 2028. Read that climb again, because it tells you almost everything about this business. The cost rose more than 50% before the deeper mine produced a single new carat. The bill runs roughly 8 years from start to finish, which means you sink the better part of $1 billion and you wait the better part of a decade on faith. On paper, that project is supposed to earn well over $1 billion in net income across its life, so the prize is real. The catch is that you pay almost all of it now and collect almost all of it later, if the diamonds and the prices both show up on schedule. And remember, that's the bill for expanding a mine that already works. Building one from nothing adds feasibility studies, environmental permits, a full processing plant, roads, power, and water. Most of it spent up front while the deposit just sits in the ground earning you nothing. Then once you're finally running, you keep spending what the industry calls sustaining capital, the constant reinvestment just to chase the ore as it gets harder to reach. You haven't sold a stone yet, and the meter is already deep into the red. So once the plant is running, look at where the money actually comes from, because it isn't where you'd guess. A diamond mine doesn't get measured by the stone. It gets measured by the ton of rock you move. The number that rules everything is grade, which simply means how many carats sit inside each ton of ore you dig and crush. Here's how thin that is. Most working diamond mines run a grade somewhere between 1/3 of a carat and 1 full carat per ton of rock. In plain terms, you process a ton of stone, the weight of a small car, to recover less than a single gram of diamond. Argyle in Australia was famous partly because its open pit was freakishly rich, running 2.5 to 3 carats a ton, and almost nothing else on earth has ever come close to that. Your revenue per ton is just that grade multiplied by the price each carat fetches. In 2025, De Beers sold its rough diamonds at an average of about $142 a carat, and that price had just dropped. Now set that against what it costs to move the rock, because this is the other half of the whole equation. The best mines on the planet are brutally cheap to run. Jwaneng in Botswana sits under $40 a ton, and Cullinan and Finch run lower still, down in the teens and 20s. Others bleed at the far end, like the Mir mine at around $175 a ton, and one Russian operation up near $285. So your real profit on every ton is what the carats inside it sell for, minus what it costs to dig and crush that ton. Analysts who track this measure it exactly that way, value per ton against cash costs per ton, and the gap between them is the whole game. Picture a ton carrying 1 carat at that $142 price. Move it for $40 and you keep about $100. Move that same ton for $285 and you just lost money pulling a diamond from the earth. Two mines can pull the same stones from the earth and end up in completely different worlds, because one moves its rock cheaply and the other doesn't. And the mines that win almost always win on cost, not on dazzling stones, because the best, richest rock always comes out first. That last line is the whole reframe. You're not really in the diamond business. You're in the business of moving rock cheaply enough that the carats hidden inside it can pay for the moving year after year before the good rock runs out. A good mine isn't the one with the prettiest stones in the display case. It's the one where a ton costs $40 to handle and the diamonds inside it sell for more than $40 every single ton for a very long time. The exact same stone dug from cheap shallow rock or from expensive deep rock gives you completely different outcomes. The geology decides whether you have a business at all, and no amount of polish later can fix bad rock now. And notice where you actually sit in the chain. Mining is only the first link. After you sell the rough, somebody cuts and polishes it. Somebody sets it into jewelry, and somebody sells it in a bright store with soft lighting and a famous name on the wall. That last shop captures the emotional markup, the $1,000 feeling, the reason anyone walked in. You captured a slice of $142 a carat for raw, unsorted rock. You take all the geological risks and all the capital risks, and the romance money lands in somebody else's register, far away from your hole in the ground. A giant like De Beers softened that blow for itself by owning the steps further down the chain, the sorting, the marketing, even the branded stores, so it could grab back some of the value it lost upstream. You probably don't own any of that. Most pure mining companies, the Lucaras and the Petras of the world, only dig and then sell their rough into tenders and auctions, which means they live and die on the raw price alone. They have no downstream cushion when that price turns against them. So the question that decides your fate isn't how beautiful your diamonds are, it's how little of the final value you're forced to hand away. Here's the part nobody tells you. Even the slice you do earn gets claimed before you ever see it. Look at Botswana, the textbook success story of this whole industry. The main mining company there, Debswana, is split 50-50 between De Beers and the government. So half the business belongs to the state before you count a single dollar. On top of that, the country's own sales company now sells a rising share of the output directly. 30% of Debswana's production starting in 2025, climbing to 40% in the early 2030s and a full half by 2035. Diamonds make up around 30% of Botswana's entire economy and roughly 80% of its exports. And the country has pulled more than $60 billion out of this arrangement since 1969. That money is real, and most of it doesn't flow to a private owner. And the equity split is only the first hand in your pocket. On top of owning half outright, host governments pull their share through royalties on what you sell and taxes on what you earn. So the state collects whether your year was good or bad. That's the pattern almost everywhere diamonds come out of the ground. The country owns the minerals, and it makes very sure it grabs most of the rent before a foreign owner sees a cent. Then there's the trap built into the rock itself. You always mine your best, richest ore first, because that's the smartest thing to do. Which means every year that follows, your grade falls and your margin shrinks a little more, by design, not by mistake. To keep the carats coming, you dig deeper, and deeper always costs more. At Diavik in Canada, the same kind of rock that cost about $95 a ton to mine in the open pit cost roughly $127 once they had to go underground for it. And through every bit of this, you don't even set the price. The scarcity story, the marketing, and the sales channel that decides who is allowed to buy your rough and when, that power has always sat with the big houses, not with the person holding the shovel. For decades, the only way to sell at scale ran through a tight group of approved buyers on the seller's terms, not yours. So you carry the cost, the debt, and the depletion, and the people downstream carry the pricing power. You're the most exposed person in the entire chain. That risk is now yours. And all of that assumes people still believe diamonds are rare. That belief is the foundation the entire price stands on, and right now it's cracking. A diamond grown in a lab is chemically the same stone, and the price of those has collapsed. Lab-grown wholesale prices fell about 26% in just 2025, and they're down roughly 85% over the past decade. For 1 and 2 carat stones, prices have fallen as much as 96% since 2018. At retail today, a 1 carat lab-grown diamond runs about $1,000 or less, against roughly $4,200 for a natural stone of the same size. When the copy is that cheap and that identical, the word rare starts to lose its grip. It isn't only the lab-grown stones doing the damage. Demand for the natural kind has gone soft too, as a huge buyer like China pulled back and younger shoppers stopped treating a diamond as something they must own. The result is a market where even the real, dug from the earth stones are worth a lot less than they were a few years ago. The pressure has already reached the people who own the mines. De Beers watched its average selling price slip another 7% in 2025 and ended the year sitting on around $2 billion of diamonds it simply could not sell, even after offloading some stock below what it cost to dig up. Its parent company, Anglo American, wrote down the value of De Beers by almost $3 billion in 2024, then another $2.3 billion in 2025, close to $7 billion erased in 3 years. The whole business is now valued at only about $2 billion and is openly up for sale, with a mix of foreign investment funds and African governments circling the wreckage of what was once the most powerful name in the trade. And the rock runs out no matter what the market is doing. Argyle made about 40% of the world's diamonds by volume at its peak, and 9 out of every 10 of its rare pink ones. It ran for 37 years and produced hundreds of millions of carats, and in November 2020, it shut down for good, because the deeper rock finally cost more to reach than the diamonds were worth, and the reserves were simply gone. Every mine on Earth has that same date written somewhere in its future. The only question is whether the market dies before the rock does, or the other way around. So add it all up, you don't own a treasure chest. You own a depleting hole in the ground, paid for with borrowed money, taxed and shared with the government and a partner, and priced by a scarcity story you don't control and can no longer count on. Build it on cheap, rich rock at the right moment, and you can print money for a while. Build it on the wrong rock at the wrong time, and you'll learn how fast a $700 million mine turns into a write-down. The thing that made diamonds valuable was never really the stone. It was the belief that you couldn't get one anywhere else. And that belief is the one thing no mine can ever dig back out of the ground. You decide.